All right, hello everyone. Welcome. We are going to start in just a few minutes. I'm a little early today. Let me write in the chat here. All right, you guys, we're going to get started in just a minute, but if you are tuning in with us, you might want to get out a pen and paper or even your phone or whatever it is to take some quick notes so that when you're in the grocery store and you're looking at your nutrition labels, you can quickly access a few things that really stuck with you today. Okay, so we're going to be going over a lot of information, but it's going to be super helpful if you have something to take notes with. So either if that's on your computer, your phone, you got some notepads on your desk, whatever works. And we're going to get started in just a second. We'll wait a few more people to come on. Yep, and if you're just tuning in with us, remember that this is a food labels workshop today. So go ahead, get out your pen and paper. We'll start in just a second. All right, we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for the Labels Before Your Table workshop. My name is Hope Kramer, and today we are going to be talking about all things food labels. So if you missed my announcement earlier, please have something at hand that you can quickly take notes with. I do have a visual presentation to go through with you guys, but it doesn't have a lot of words. So you're going to want to take notes as I talk for sure. So that way, when you're grocery shopping, you can look back and be like, yes, that's what I need to focus on when I do my grocery shopping. All right, very well. So labels before your table. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So hold tight as we get this presentation going. All right. So labels before your table. It is so easy, right, to get overwhelmed with the food label. So much information. We have the advertising on the package. There's a lot going on. How do we know if what we're eating is of good nutritional value, right? Before we bring it home, we put it on the table and our family eats it. So let's talk about it. So today's focus, we're going to learn different parts of the food label. We're going to learn what the nutrition label tells us, and we're going to learn how to make those healthy choices while shopping and planning for meals. So here are a few definitions I wanted to point out before we get started, because it is important that we just go over these before we look at our food label. So the first thing is calories. We hear this term all the time. We got to burn calories. We got to eat less. We got to eat more calories. But what exactly is a calorie? A calorie is a unit used to measure the energy content of the foods and beverages. So our bodies need energy to function and grow and thrive. So we need calories. So what's going to be our best way to get those calories, right? And that's what we find out on the nutrition label. Nutrient. A nutrient is a substance in a food that our body uses to function and grow. We get nutrients from what we eat and drink. That's going to be your fats, your carbohydrates, your proteins, your vitamins, your minerals, and water. All right, so sometimes if you've had a health coaching session with me before, you might have heard, are you having nutrient-dense food, right? Are you pulling from all your macronutrients? Are you having vitamins and minerals in your food? And things of that sort. The next definition is percent of daily value. Percent DV, that's how it shows up on the nutrition label, tells you how much a nutrient in a serving of the food contributes to a total daily diet. It can also help you determine if a serving of the food is high or low in a nutrient and to compare food products. So we're going to dive deeper into this as we go. Okay, so if you're just like, what the heck does any of that mean? Don't worry. Let's dive into it. So the first thing I wanted to point out, because if you go and look for information on the FDA page, you're going to see this show up everywhere. They're going to have an original label and they're going to show you a new label. So what does that mean exactly? The original label, this is from 2016. Right? And then after 2016, we have our new label that we have here now. So why did they make these changes? They do make changes and updates based on current research. So actually the FDA says starting July of this year, the food label will change again. So make note of that and see why they're making those changes. What new research has come out? So for example, right here, the serving size now appears in a large bold font and some serving sizes have been updated. So you might have the same product from 2016 to now, and it's going to have a different serving size. Why is that? We're going to talk about it. All right, over here, number 2, calories are now displayed in larger, bolder fonts. All right, this is going to make it easier for you to stand out. So when you're looking at those calories in the grocery store, you're not having to get out those glasses. Like, where is this? All right, the daily values have also been updated on new research. They have also added sugars to the nutrition label, which is right here. Vitamin D and potassium are now listed. They weren't before. Manufacturers must declare the amount in addition to percent daily value for vitamins and minerals. All right, so those are our updates. That's based off of new research that's coming up. So I thought that was really interesting and just good to know. And you'll keep an eye out for the new label coming this year in July. All right, so let's go over the nutrition label. And so I'm just going to go by the number here. So 1 and 2, right, those are our serving size. We have servings per container, and then we have serving size. So serving sizes on the new label reflect the portions most people are eating or drinking, not what they should be consuming. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The serving size reflects the portion most people are eating or drinking, not what they should be consuming. This is from the FDA. So if people start to eat more, you're going to see the serving size on those food labels increase. All right, very interesting, huh? Remember to compare the portion you take to be serving size listed on the label. So like if the label serving size is 1 cup and you eat 2 cups, you're getting twice the calories, fat, and other nutrients listed on the label. Okay, so all that information, those calories and everything, that's by the serving size. So just always remember that. So for packages that contain more than 1 serving but could reasonably be eaten in 1 sitting, a second column will be listed, and you'll see an example of that later. All right, so we just went over calories. That's our number 1, our number 2, and then we have our calories per serving, which is number 3 right here. So this is a bolder font, which we went over earlier. The calories refers to the total number of calories supplied from all sources. So this is everything. I mean, that's your calories from all the fat in that product, all the carbohydrate calories from that product, all the protein calories from that product, all the alcohol calories from that product, and a serving of the food. All right, so it is recommended that the balanced number of calories you eat and drink with the number of calories your body uses is 2,000 calories a day. That's just a general guide for nutrition advice. So if you're just like, okay, I've heard, they have it at the bottom, 2,000 calorie diet, that's just an average for the general population, okay? It's not telling you that you specifically need 2,000 calories, okay? Because that depends on your age, your sex, your height, your weight, your level of physical activity, all that jazz. All right, so that's calories. Next up, we have percent DV. So that's our number 4. So this column right here, that's our percent daily value. And then as you can see, this has an asterisk at the top. It says the percent daily value tells you how much a nutrient in a serving of food contributes to a daily diet. 2,000 calories a day is used for general nutrition advice. Once again, that 2,000 calories a day is general. So, as a general guideline, 5% DV or less of a nutrient per serving is considered low. And 20% DV or more of a nutrient per serving is considered high. So if you want something that's high in nutrient, you're going to want to shoot for more of that 20% range. If you want less of a certain nutrient, if it's under that 5%, then you're good to go. So you're also going to find, some things like trans fat and your protein, they do not have a percent DV. So you're going to have to go by grams for that. Compare your grams. So that's a side note. All right, so that's how we read percent DV. All right, moving on. Number 5. Oh, accidentally clicked it. All right, number 5. That's our list of nutrients. So the label lists the different nutrients contained in the food product. Nutrients get less of include saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, and added sugars. So this is really important to look for right here. What are you getting most of in this product? Are you getting more fat? Are you getting more cholesterol and sodium? Is this a really carb-heavy product, or is this a protein-heavy product? Okay, so break it down. So most Americans exceed the recommended limits of saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, and diets higher in these nutrients are associated with an increased risk of developing some heart conditions, health conditions, things of that sort. So that's why it's so important that we look at our trans fat, saturated fat, and sodium. Trans fat, also does not have a percent DV. Just a reminder to use grams. So things that you want to focus on over in this section for number 5 to get more of is your dietary fiber, your vitamin D, your calcium, your iron, and your potassium. All right. So nutrients you want to get more of, I'll say it again, is your dietary fiber, your vitamin D, your calcium, your iron, and your potassium. So most Americans do not get the recommended amount of these nutrients. So you want to compare and choose foods that get higher DV of these nutrients most of the days. All right, next up, number 6. Oh, I'm going backwards. So we're going to go over number 6, which is the list of ingredients. So ingredient list shows each ingredient in a food by its common or usual name. The ingredients are also listed in descending order of the weight. So the ingredient with the greatest contribution to the product is listed first, and the ingredient contribution the least by weight is listed last. So check the ingredients on the food label. Check it, check it, check it. If you don't understand what a word is, because sometimes there's those words you're like, I can't pronounce that, and it doesn't have anything in the parentheses, Google it. Most of the time, it might not be the best. It might be a sugar or something of that sort that's not great for you. All right, so please Google it. You will probably see it over and over and over again. So once you get the hang of it, it'll become easier and it won't be so much of a project to go grocery shopping, I promise. So check the ingredients list on foods before you buy them. Use the list to find out whether a food or beverage contains ingredients that are sources of nutrients you want to get more of, such as your whole grains, and sources of nutrients you want to get less of, such as added sugars, partially hydrogenated oils, which is your trans fat. All right. So check those ingredients, guys. If sugar is the number one ingredient, then, check to see what the next product has. Is sugar the number one ingredient, or is it your whole wheat? Is it your whole grains? All right, moving on. We're going to go back down here to number 7. This is your added sugars. Added sugars. It wasn't on the food label for 2016, but they added it in there for us. So your example of added sugars, that's going to be your brown sugar, your corn syrup, your dextrose, your fruit juice concentrations, your glucose, your high fructose corn syrup, your honey, your lactose, your maltose, your malt syrup, maple syrup, molasses, and sucrose. Right? We can all find those in the ingredients list. So if we want to know what type of sugar we got, go in the ingredients. All right, so big food sources of sugar. That's going to be your baked goods, that's your cakes, your cookies, your pastries and pies, desserts, ice creams and puddings. And this is what gets everyone, is your salad dressings. Your salad dressings, your sauces, your spreads, your condiments, your gravies, all that can be loaded with sugar. Sugar-sweetened beverages such as energy drinks, flavored waters, fruit drinks, soft drinks, sport drinks, and sweetened coffees and teas, all that. How much sugar does it have in it compared to those other drinks that you like? All right, and of course your candies, your sweet toppings, your syrups, those are going to be high in sugars too. So it'd be a good idea to compare food labels, see what types of sugars each of these things have, how much sugar compared to the other. All right, and the next thing we're going to go over is fat. So that's number 8. You're going to find that on the left-hand side. Fat, fat, fat. This can be so confusing to people because on packages we have fat-free. We have no trans fat. We have all kinds of stuff. And sometimes we just look at the box and we're just like, oh, fat-free, and we grab it. But let's talk about that. So dietary fat is a necessary nutrient for the human diet. Okay, dietary fat, your unsaturated fat, it's necessary. We need it for growth and development and support several key body processes. We need this for energy, especially if you're very active. So you don't want to be completely no fat. It's important. However, we do need to be careful about our saturated fat. All right, that's going to be like your animal fat, such as your butter and lard. Processed meats, such as bacon and hot dogs. Your dairy products, your snack foods, your sweets and spreads, like your butter, stick of margarine, cream cheese, and sour cream. So when you're looking at your food label, it's important. How much saturated fat does it have? And then how much trans fat? Now, trans fat, you want to try to keep this as small amounts as possible. It is typically formed artificially. All right, so this is going to be huge in your baked goods, your coffee creamers, your fast foods, your frostings, your dough, your frozen pizzas, your snack foods, your stick of margarine, your vegetable shortening. All right, the trans fats are bad. We want to stay away from these as best as possible. All right, you're going to see if you have a high diet in trans fat, you're going to see a lot of high cholesterol, bad cholesterol, which in turn, increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, which is the main leading cause of death in both men and women in the United States. So if you get anything out of this workshop today, please know that trans fat should be a major thing that you look at on your food label. All right. So, you can find healthy fats. You might see this as a monounsaturated fat or a polyunsaturated fat. And that's your avocados, your fish, your nuts, your seeds and vegetables, canola, olive, and soybean oils, all those oils that we find in the jars. So if you find a packaged good and you find that it has those fats in it, that's okay. Those are good for us. We want those fats. We just don't want the trans fat. Okay, no trans fat. Okay, so here's a breakdown. If you want to write these down in your phone or anything of that sort, we want to focus on less saturated fat, less trans fat, less sodium, less added sugars. But we want more dietary fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium. This is recommended by the FDA. Most people are deficient in vitamin D, calcium, and iron, potassium, as well as dietary fiber. Hence why we are bringing in the Fiber Food Log Challenge. So this is really important. This is what I have written down in my phone, and then when I go into the grocery store, I pull up those 2 food labels and I say, okay, which one has the most good stuff and which one has the less bad stuff? Okay, so that's a great way to map it out for you. All right, and here's a few shopping tips. So for your whole grains, you're looking for whole wheat, and this is in the ingredients label, okay? You're looking for whole wheat, looking for brown rice, bulgur, buckwheat, oatmeal, whole grain, cornmeal, whole oats, whole rye. So important. Try low or non-fat dairy products, right? Because you're going to have a lot of that trans fat, a lot of that saturated fat in there. You're going to want to compare snacks and choose versions that are lower and all of those bad things that we had just talked about. All right, but when in doubt, I'd say go for the fruits, go for the vegetables. All right, and more fruits and veggies. Now this can be fresh, frozen, and canned. However, when you're buying those frozen or canned foods, like your fruits, vegetables, soups, and beans, look for versions without added sauces, and also that are unsweetened and no sugar added. It was crazy. The other day I was looking for canned fruits and all of the added sugar in those fruits. You think you're going for a healthy option. And I had to hunt down those canned foods that had no added sugars. They exist, but sometimes they're so oversaturated with sugar and we don't realize it. And we think it's a better option, but sometimes it's not. So make sure you read those food labels. All right, and one other thing is, instead of buying those, sweetened beverages, try to bring water with you. Maybe you add some flavor, water, packs to it or something of that sort to give it some flavor. Maybe you have some bubbly water and you add some flavor to that as well. But try to stay away from those sugar sweetened beverages. They're dangerous, guys. Those add up really fast. All right, so I went to the grocery store the other day and I was like, what can I use as an example for you guys? And I thought, well, how about fiber? So I picked Cheerios and I picked Fiber One. I thought that would be a good comparison. Because the Cheerios, it says, lowers cholesterol, all that good stuff. And then there's the Fiber One, which is really high in fiber. And what are the benefits of fiber? It helps control our blood sugar, right? And it lowers cholesterol. So I wanted to compare those two because Cheerios is marketing on their front page that it's heart healthy. It lowers your cholesterol. It lowers its blood sugar. Well, what does that? Fiber does, dietary fiber. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and compare it to the Fiber One cereal. And this goes right along with our Fiber Fueled Challenge. So let's dive into these food labels, shall we? So here we go. We have the Cheerios, and this is where you can take your checklist out and you can go dietary fiber. Okay, Cheerios, let's see, dietary fiber, there's 4 grams. Dietary fiber for fiber 1, there's 18 grams. So which one's more heart healthy? Fiber 1. It doesn't have it on the box, but it has more dietary fiber. That's what we need to lower our blood sugar and our cholesterol. Okay, but let's see how it compares to the rest. What about vitamin D? So vitamin D, okay, so for Cheerios, let's see, it's at 10%. And at fiber 1, it has 0%. Okay, so we're not getting the value of vitamin D. Calcium, where's our calcium at here? I'm looking. Okay, so Cheerios, it's 130 milligrams. And same for fiber 1. Okay, so they break even there. Iron, where's our iron at? All right, so 12.6 milligrams for Cheerios. Iron for fiber 1, 3.6. Not so great. That's better for Cheerios. And your potassium, 0 for fiber 1, 250 for Cheerios. So Cheerios wins for that too. So it looks like Cheerios is winning for the vitamins and minerals, but not for the fiber, not for the heart health. All right, what gets less of? Saturated fat. Where is our saturated fat at? So Cheerios is at 0.5 grams. Fiber 1 is at 0 grams. They both have 0 grams trans fat. Okay, so that's about even. I mean, 0.5 grams, you know, I mean, it's not great. That's not the best, but it's not bad. And then we have sodium. Sodium, let's see. 190 milligrams in Cheerios. That's pretty high. Fiber 1, 140 milligrams. All right, well, that doesn't help with heart health, does it, for Cheerios? So Cheerios still isn't helping us on the heart health, yet they advertise it. All right, so fiber 1 is looking a little bit better there. And then last but not least, we have our added sugars. So added sugars, 2 grams for Cheerios, and there's none for fiber 1. So we don't have any added sugars there. So very interesting, isn't it? Cheerios, they advertise heart health, but really fiber 1 is. But you are going to get better vitamins and minerals with the Cheerios, right? So let's say you're in the store and you're trying to make this decision. Well, let's say you're really struggling trying to get your fiber. You really want to control your blood sugar and your cholesterol. You would want to go fiber 1. But maybe you're just having a hard time getting your calcium, your vitamin D, and you just want a little bit of fiber, right? Your fiber's pretty good. You're already getting enough of it. Then maybe you want to go more Cheerios. Okay, so I can't say one is necessarily better than the other in terms of, you know, your needs. They're both low in trans fat, a little bit higher in calories on the Cheerios. All right, but that's okay. It's not too crazy. All right, so very, very interesting. So I hope you guys, I'm going to turn to my resource page. So if you want to continue to do research on your own, I use personally Ace Fitness, and they have some great resources. If you go on their page, you can go in the search bar, bring up nutrition labels, some good information right there. EatRight.org, they have a toolkit full of information. And the FDA also has great resources as well. It can get overwhelming, so I would just go to their educational resources is what I recommend. So those are the resources I chose, and I'm going to turn back, in case if you're taking notes, to our shopping tips, in case if you missed any of those tips. But I hope this workshop was super helpful for you guys as you go into your food log challenge and try to figure out what foods are going to be best for you and your family and best for you in your food logging, what your focus should be on when you're reading those food labels, because it can get so overwhelming. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. All right, and we're back. Very good. So please let me know if you guys have any questions about the workshop. I would love to hear from you guys if you're interested in looking at any of the resources I used to gather this information. We did go over a lot today, but if anything, I hope you guys learned to just look beyond the calories, look at the nutritional value. Is it over 10% DV or is it under 10% DV? That's an easy way for me to remember it. Another way is I'm just like, if it's over 10 DV and I'm looking at my vitamins and minerals, I'm really getting a good bang for my buck, right? And also, if it has no trans fat, I'm also getting more bang for my buck. So I hope this was super helpful for you guys. Once again, you're more than welcome to email me. My email is hope.kramer@coxinc.com. And this will be saved and published for you guys so you can go back through and listen to all the information that I shared with you today. It was a lot of information as we broke down each part of the nutrition label, but hopefully it'll get a little bit easier as you go while you're shopping and you bring it to your table. Thank you for joining me, you guys, and I will see you guys later.